I believe. It only matters what I can prove.
A Few Good Men.
You want the Spencer wheel? This ain't no time to quit, Ned.
Unforgiven.
Now, Helen, oh dear, something odd has happened.
Howard's Inn. What do these three films have in common? Well, they're all fairly sure of being on the list when this year's Academy Award nominations are revealed on the morning of February the 17th. But we can think of some other movies and performances that the Academy shouldn't overlook. And since the Oscar ballots were sent to Academy members on Friday, we think they should consider this entire special edition of Siskel and Ebert as our free advice on how they should mark those ballots. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune, and we got the idea to do this memo to the Academy a year ago, realizing that instead of complaining after the fact about all the mistakes in the Oscar nominations, we ought to speak out beforehand and really try to influence the balloting while we can. So we're going to remind voters of films released early in the year. They invariably forget those. And in the year when everybody's talking about the lack of Oscar-worthy roles for women, we're going to have a few suggestions in that category, too. But first, the category of Best Actor in a Leading Role. The likely nominees include Jack Nicholson in Hoffa, Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman, and Denzel Washington as Malcolm X. All three are worthy, but I'd like to mention a marvelous performance in a beautiful but little-seen film, Gary Sinise as George in John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men. George is the less showy character in the story, the protector of the dim-witted Lenny, played by John Malkovich. Both are itinerant farm workers in the 1930s, and what I like about Sinise's performance is its restraint, its gravity. He has the confidence to know that eventually we'll notice him.
I'm looking for Curly.
If I see him, I'll tell him you're looking for him.
See you around.
She's pretty.
Lenny.
Don't you think she's pretty?
Listen to me. Damn it. Don't you even look at her.
You know, when I watched this movie, my eye would go to Malkovich first, but then it would linger on Sinise because the performance was unmannered. Gary Sinise gave me time to think about George, to think about what it'd be like to be the custodian of another man's life, the older brother syndrome. And he made me curious about George's dreams, the dreams of a selfless man. Making the performance even more special is that Gary Sinise also directed Of Mice and Men, directing himself to a wonderful performance. The film is available on home video to Academy voters. It comes out in March for everybody else. The Academy membership is getting a lot of cassettes. This is one Of Mice and Men that I would strongly recommend they open up and look at.
It was a wonderful film. I wish it had done better at the box office. I think maybe it's an unpopular period in some people's minds, or maybe they thought, oh, it's a literary classic. I don't dare go to look at that, but it's a great film.
And they made it, they really made it come alive, and I think it's very exciting.
Very simple and very
elegant.
Clean, very straight, yeah. Okay, my candidate for an actor who deserves an Academy Award nomination this year is Harvey Keitel for his courageous and daring performance in the title role of Bad Lieutenant. The movie is the sort of film the Academy sometimes shies away from. They like sex and violence only when it's glossy, not when it's frightening and real, as it is in The Bad Lieutenant. But who else gave a better performance this year than Keitel as a drugged-out New York cop who spirals out of control during a few days when he finally hits bottom?
How much do they take? How much do they take? $500. Take this guy down to the precinct and write out a report.
For 25 years now, ever since he made his debut in Martin Scorsese's first film, Harvey Keitel has been operating out there on the edge in one intense performance after another. And now here is a movie that dares to go all the way in its depiction of evil and redemption in the life of a big city cop. A lot of actors concerned about their images would probably have not even touched this movie with a 10-foot pole, but not Keitel, who has been willing almost more than any other actor to go with difficult scripts or new directors. He takes chances, and he deserves an Oscar nomination.
Well, it is a very risk-taking performance. I would say that showing an evil personality, maybe 75% of this performance a lot of actors could do. The extra 25% is really letting it out there. And I'm not talking about just physical nudity, but there are emotions that are displayed there. There are scenes there in this film, Abel Ferrara directed, that you're right, actors would not touch because they want to be liked. Keitel is willing to play this and know that it can't hurt him, and indeed it's artful.
You're absolutely right. I hope people do look at this movie. It has the dreaded NC-17 rating. If the Academy takes the rating system seriously, they should not let the NC-17 prevent them from nominating a film. I hope they don't. Coming up next, 1992 wasn't a great year for women, but we've each found some performances that we think the Academy should consider.
Did they tell you I was a bitch? On wheels. This special edition of Siskel and Ebert is brought to you by Orville Redenbacher, the first and last name in popcorn.
The things we do to control what we eat.
Now you can give in to your craving for snacks the smart way. Introducing Orville Redenbacher Smart Pop. Compared to potato chips, new Smart Pop has 80% less fat and a third fewer calories, so you can eat and eat and eat and not feel the least bit guilty. New Smart Pop. From Orville Redenbacher, of course.
Of course.
The medical facts are clear. Tylenol is so gentle on your stomach, doctors even recommend it to their ulcer patients for everyday aches and pains. They know Tylenol can't aggravate an ulcer the same way aspirin can. That's important for all of us to know. And so is this. Hospitals use Tylenol 23 times more than all aspirin brands combined. Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
We are not asking, Doctor, for your anguish or your applause. We are asking merely for a little courage.
That's Susan Sarandon in Lorenzo's Oil, and I'm fairly sure that she'll be nominated in the Best Actress category this year. A couple of other leading contenders are Gina Davis in A League of Their Own and Emma Thompson in Howard's End. But who else should not be overlooked by the Academy? My vote would go to Mary McDonnell for her angry, passionate performance in John Sayles' Passion Fish. This is exactly the kind of role that lesser actresses massacre all the time in those Disease of the Week docudramas, but McDonnell makes it new, playing an actress who is paralyzed in an accident and remains stubbornly in the state of embittered denial.
That's what I can do. Now push me back inside.
Push yourself back.
Don't pull that motivational crap on me. I want to go back in.
I'll have lunch ready when you get there.
And that's Alfre Woodard there as the nurse who is finally able to outlast McDonnell's bitterness. And while I'm at it, I should mention that I certainly hope the Academy doesn't overlook Woodard in the supporting actress category. John Sayles wrote and directed this movie, and he has filled it with so many characters who are freshly seen and real. McDonnell's work in it is wonderful. I hope the Academy remembers that when they mark their
I like
ballots.
the film, I like the performance, and what I like about it is that she does not keep you with a character that wants to be like. The temptation in playing this thing is that always underneath the surface you can see that this is really a likable character, that it's a momentary thing. You know, this is a real drawn character, and she's not particularly likable.
And as a matter of fact, neither is Alfre Woodard, and they don't care whether they like each other, because each one has her own agenda, things very important that are going on within their own minds that they have to preserve even more than this phony friendship that a lesser movie would have tried to
It is
develop.
lifelike, and it's a good nomination. And I've got another one. I think you're going to agree with this. My recommendation for a performance that's currently in release now is Juliette Binoche's work in Louis Malle's magnificent tale of obsession called Damage. Binoche plays the object of a British politician, Jeremy Irons' desire, sexual desire. And what complicates this story is he's married. What complicates it even more is she's engaged to his son. This is a minimal performance, but if she isn't mysterious and intriguing, the whole film is a bust. In a key scene, she describes her reaction to her brother's death years ago.
Next morning I woke and I heard crying. I went down the corridor. They all told me not to go in, but I did. And I saw Aston. He'd cut his wrists.
There's a lot more to Juliette Binoche's character than just her sexuality. She describes herself as damaged and therefore dangerous, nothing to lose. But it's not dangerous like Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct or Madonna in The Awful Body of Evidence. Her role is not a gimmick. She's acting out some strange private agenda. She's bright, but some governor is missing. Binoche always holds something back from Jeremy Irons, from his son, and also from us. She's one of the most fascinating characters of the year, and if enough voters see Damage, I think Juliette Binoche has a long shot chance to be actually nominated.
You know, this is one of the few movies where I was actually absorbed during every moment with what was going to happen next, and I guess she gets a lot of credit for that. Now, somebody could look at that movie, as you have suggested, and say it is a minimal performance. She has very little to say. She leaves a great deal unsaid. She embodies the qualities that we react to and that the Jeremy Irons character reacts to. And so, in a sense, the casting director should be up on stage with her because they found the right person.
Yeah, but let me ask you this, Roger. Don't you think, we don't know exactly how the actors do what they do, but my suspicion is this, that what we are drawn to is that she's always thinking and we can see it. And she's keeping it reserved. She's keeping it down deeper, literally. I mean, I know
whatever it is she does, and you may be right, she does it. And if she didn't do it, the movie would be a terrible mess. So
I think it's really
key to the fact that is a great film. Coming up next, some films that we think deserve to be nominated for Best Picture of 1992.
Good. You remember me? I'm Chief Dixon.
I'm fixing to do what?
I said I'm Chief Dixon.
Well, I'm fixing to feed these chickens before it gets too damn hot.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Continuing our annual Memo to the Academy, that's a scene from A Few Good Men, which would seem to be a lock as one of the 5 nominated Best Pictures of the year, along with Howard's End and Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven. But I'd like to recommend a smaller film that I think is better than all of those. It's Carl Franklin's One False Move, and I would ask Academy voters to screen it and consider this. You've seen countless movies about cops trying to catch killers and drug dealers, but I don't think you've seen such an original group of killers and cops as these. Each has a story to tell. Here, the good old boy cop gets his feelings hurt when he overhears 2 big city cops working with him talking about him.
He said that he thought that me and him and McIntosh would make a hell of a team. He said he wanted to take a crack at the big time.
As for the killers, they're a real mixed bag, a silent black intellectual, white trash, and a mysterious woman.
We got the 2 most exciting jobs in town.
Yeah, the burrito's ready, baby.
He's watching me.
So you go.
He knows who I am.
No, he doesn't.
That does.
6 fresh characters, 6 original characters, with a kicker at the end as their lives intersect. So before you mark your ballots, check out One False Move. You're going to see a great picture. I picked it as the best film of the year.
And I second your nomination. I think it is a great film. And one of the things that really amazed me about it was I knew at some point during the film, I just knew from what was going on that it was okay to keep paying attention. It wasn't going to go on automatic pilot. With a lot of crime pictures, at a point, you know, the first half hour is usually fairly original.
Yes.
And then they go on to automatic pilot, and it becomes just another reworking of the things that happen in all the other movies that you've seen. This movie was original from beginning until the last shot. It kept you thinking. Now, there's one thing. It starts out with a scene of extreme violence.
Yes, I've heard.
People should sit through that because once you get through it, you'll be okay.
I just got a letter this week of someone saying, you got to warn people that there's some extreme violence. It will not be repeated later in the film.
Yeah.
That's a classic technique. Hitchcock used to use his most violent scenes sometimes early on to get people shocked and then pull back. It's a terrific film.
Okay, now here's another movie that I hope the Academy doesn't overlook in the best film category, Spike Lee's Malcolm X, one of the best screen biographies I've seen. This is an exciting, ambitious film about a man who was so wildly controversial during his lifetime that only now can the real meaning of his life be brought into focus. Denzel Washington starred in a life story that took him from years as a criminal in the streets of Harlem and ended with a self-taught Malcolm X transforming himself into a spokesman for racial change.
Now, you may be shocked by these words, but I have eaten from the same plate, drunk from the same glass, and prayed to the same God with fellow Muslims whose eyes were blue, whose hair was blonde, and whose skin was the whitest of white. And we were all brothers.
At first, in preparing for this memo to the Academy, I thought I'd pick a more obscure choice in the Best Picture category because I assumed that Malcolm X would be a shoo-in for a nomination. But on second thought, I wasn't so sure. Spike Lee has an abrasive personality, and he would not win very many popularity contests in the Hollywood establishment, but I hope the voters will be able to see the film for what it is, an American epic about a leader whose personal transformation was an inspiration for a lot of people. And this movie is good in every category, in the cinematography, in the acting, in the music, in the screenplay, which somehow takes this life, which is so filled with contradictions, and makes it into a really important statement.
I think it's important that we remind Academy voters to vote for this one because I think that you and I were both surprised when Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, which, by the way, I think is as good a film, actually, I think it's even better than Malcolm X, wasn't nominated. I'll ask you this, who tried for a bigger target this year in filmmaking than Spike Lee?
This was like JFK last year. This was the film where a director said, I know the subject is controversial. I know that it's not a commercial lock. I know it's going to be a difficult film, but it needs to be made, and I'm going to make it, and I give Spike Lee credit for making it well.
It's a really good film. Coming up next, sort of a grab bag. We'll each have more recommendations of overlooked work in a variety of categories, from art direction to supporting performances.
In life, there are certain things that just are the way they are, and nothing's going to get rid of the Studi brothers except $7,000 more.
Help can someone take my pain and make it disappear?
Finally, someone understands all pain is not the same. New aspirin-free Bayer Select. Yes, aspirin-free.
Put the help where it hurts.
Bayer Select. Not one, but 5 aspirin-free products. Sinus, headache, nighttime, menstrual, and arthritis pain relief. Because all pain is not the same.
Put the help where it hurts with Bayer Select. You made me love you.
Have you loved your dog today? Give him new Butcher's Choice biscuits from Milk-Bone. A choice of beef, bacon, liver, and chicken in every box, basted with rich, meaty juices.
Gimme, 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 gimme what I cry for. You know you made me.
New Butcher's Choice biscuits from Milk-Bone.
Continuing our Memo to the Academy, the annual show where we tell the Academy voters who we think they should mark their nominating ballots for. Now let's branch out a little more widely into some of the other categories where we think there's great work that the Academy is in danger of overlooking. And my first choice would be in the supporting actress category, where Rosie Perez in White Men Can't Jump all but stole the show with her hilarious high-energy performance as the girlfriend of a basketball hustler played by Woody Harrelson, who she wishes would just give up childish games and get on with his life. Another deserving nominee, this one in the foreign film category, where a strange and inspired film named Close to Eden is the official Russian nominee. It's a slice of life about modern-day nomads in the vast grasslands of Mongolia who encounter a stranded Russian, and it's told with charm and a touch of offbeat humor. In the Best Original Screenplay category, I hope the Academy voters honor Neal Jimenez, who wrote and co-directed a wonderful film named The Waterdance. It was based on his own autobiographical experiences after he was paralyzed in an accident and woke up in a hospital ward to discover his whole life had been changed. Eric Stoltz was very good in the central role of Jimenez's tough, intelligent screenplay.
You're determined to pick a fight, huh?
Your problem is you ain't got no problem, man. I mean, look at you, man. Huh? You call yourself Garcia? You ain't no Mexican. You ain't no nigger. You certainly ain't no white dude. You're just better than everybody else. You and your glasses, man.
And in the Best Documentary category, there's been a lot of controversy in recent years over the way some of the best documentaries don't even get nominated. I hope that doesn't happen this year with a remarkable film named Brothers Keeper, which tells the story of 4 brothers in central New York who work the same farm together, and when one of the brothers is found dead, another one is charged with his murder, and the neighbors rise up in arms at what they see as a violation of his rights, holding fundraisers to come to his aid. Brothers Keeper is a difficult subject for a documentary, but the filmmakers turned it into a document of the bedrock American belief in fair play. And when they nominate this year's documentaries, they'll be missing a great film unless they include Brothers Keeper.
I like all 4 of your choices, which is another reason why I think we should really run the whole Oscar show ourselves out of this studio here. I think would be excellent. The one that would delight me the most of the ones you mentioned, if Rosie Perez got it. She is an original life force. There is no one else quite like her. And when that movie goes to Jeopardy and she's on Jeopardy, it's exhilarating. It's a terrific...
Yes, it was a great film, and she's very great in it.
Coming up next, my suggestions for more people who should not be overlooked when the Academy marks its ballots.
These glasses are always slipping. Can lens crafters help?
Sure. You need spring hinges that flex to keep their lasting fit. How's that?
Real secure and comfortable.
And they'll stay that way.
Lens crafters, better fit for greater comfort in about an hour.
When I bite into a York peppermint patty, I get the sensation of itty-bitty snowmen running up and down my spine.
Ooh, I'll take one of those.
York peppermint patty. Get the sensation.
Be our guest, put our magic to the test. Bring a heart that's full of wonder and let Disney do the rest. Come to our world and be part of our family. Come be
The Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. Call 407-WDisney.
Okay, now it's my turn with 4 more suggestions for Oscar nominations. In the supporting actor category, I really admired David Paymer's work. It's Billy Crystal's loyal brother in Mr. Saturday Night. He could have been just a foil, but he was a fully realized soul, especially when he gets up the guts to tell his brother he's leaving him professionally.
I can't do this anymore.
Do what?
This. What I do, schlep work. Like you said, I drive the car, I watch the act.
Stan, I didn't mean anything by that. You know, it's after the show, stuff is still flying out of my mouth.
Well, face it, buddy, I'm the brother.
I also liked Wes Studi's performance as the Indian warrior Magua in The Last of the Mohicans. How good was he? Well, take him out of the movie, and I don't think you have a film that is anything but a conventional love story. He is what the movie is and should be about.
Magua's children were killed by the English. I was taken as slave by the Mohawk who fought for the gray hair.
I also like the photography of Peter Biziou in Louis Malle's Damage. Typically, cinematography nominations go to cameramen who photograph majestic outdoor scenes, but I think that's easier to do than interior scenes, like those in Damage, which are crisp and stark and somehow confrontational for these characters who are crossing the bounds of behavior. And in terms of art direction, the most innovative film of the year had to be Francis Coppola's film of Bram Stoker's Dracula, with art direction by Andrew Precht and production design by Thomas Sanders. Their work was the best part of this overstuffed movie, a film that was more of a treat for the eyes than anything else.
Kiss me and caress me, my darling husband, please.
Once again, I want to repeat this thing about box office success, because I guess Dracula was not as big a hit as it should have been. Mr. Saturday Night was not as big a hit as people wanted it to be. I hope that the Academy over one year would just throw all that stuff out. Don't let the mainstream taste influence you. Have pride in your profession. I think those come up with better choices.
I liked your nomination in the cinematography category. Remember last year you mentioned Haskell Wexler's work for Other People's Money, and also with interiors.
Yes.
And it's true that the look of a movie is so central to its success, and people, when they're thinking about cinematography, they don't think about the look of the movie, they think about what they saw in the movie.
Correct.
And so they say, oh, wow, look, you can see all of Oklahoma on the screen. It must be great cinematography.
Yes.
But if you go outside with a pocket brownie, you can shoot an outdoor picture very easily, as opposed to getting the lighting and composition just right in interior scenes. So you're quite right.
I'll tell you someone who taught me that. It was director Richard Attenborough, when he said it was easier for him to shoot Gandhi visually than it was to shoot a chorus line. He says the toughest thing is to shoot the human face.
Okay, that's it for this week and this memo to the Academy. We hope you had your pencils ready. Next week we'll be back with Madonna as a kinky murder suspect and Willem Dafoe as her bedazzled attorney in Body of Evidence. And also we'll review Nowhere to Run with Jean-Claude Van Damme as a fugitive fighting to protect single mom Rosanna Arquette. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
From Cherokee apparel, shoes, and accessories for men, women, and children. When you're comfortable, you can really go places. Make yourself comfortable, furnished by Cherokee. St. Ives Swiss Formula Collagen Elastin Lotion. St. Ives Swiss Formula soothes and softens dry skin instantly, naturally. St. Ives Swiss Formula. CORICIDIN, for use at the first sign of a cold or flu. It'll relieve all your major symptoms fast and help keep them from getting worse. CORICIDIN D, the sooner the better. It's America's favorite jelly bean, Jelly Belly, now appearing at theaters and video stores with good taste. Jelly Belly beans, try them, you'll love them.